GGI is put forward by China, but it is represented for the global south.
Maybe 3 out of the 5 main principles, 3 out of 5 of them are the UN Charter. I don't see what the complaint is. I would recommend that they go and read the UN Charter again.
You can't stop 190 countries choosing multilateralism.
Welcome everyone to Global Times Roundtable on Global Governance Initiative. Some Western media claim that China's push to improve global governance is about creating a new alternative world order. How do you respond?
Maybe 3 out of the 5 main principles, 3 out of 5 of them are the UN Charter. I don't see what the complaint is. I would recommend that they go and read the UN Charter again. This is an affirmation of the UN Charter. The extra bit is the people-centered. That's true. In fact, this is something that most liberal intellectuals in the West would agree with. We should put people before money. Yeah, they need not be Marxists. They could agree with that. From the standpoint of social welfare and so on. This is not something absolutely out of the ordinary. But to put it there at the center is significant. It means abolition of poverty is as important as ending war. That means peace plus development, not war plus austerity. See, the West is promising now war and austerity.
The GGI isn't a challenge to an order. It's actually a calling to reclaim the order that the world agreed to after the Second World War. And it agreed to this in the shadow of the war, to have ways of trying to avoid big wars again. And so this isn't a challenge to the legitimate global order, the legitimate multilateral global order. It is a calling to rediscover that and to give it 21st century practical effect. The consensus was actually already achieved around the United Nations Charter. That's a really hard thing to do. Getting 190, 200 different people to all agree to something. What we've now got to do is actually turn that agreement into real results. If you think that the order is defined by the rules-based international order, then yes, it is a challenge to that. It's a rejection of the idea that a small number of countries can impose their own views arbitrarily and also ignore the rules themselves, their own rules.
GGI is put forward by China, but it is represented for the global south. Some countries, they regard China maybe another hegemony. They have such kind of concerns, worries. I think it's nonsense because the core element of the GGI is multilateralism and the sovereignty equality. So, which kind of hegemony they will uphold the multilateralism? If the hegemony they really uphold the multilateralism, there cannot be a hegemony.
Looking ahead, how do you envision the GGI in practice?
Personally, I'm quite optimistic about that because this is not the initiative put forward by China for its own interest. It's put forward for the interest of the global south, for the interest of the world, for a just, more reasonable global order. Some countries, because they want to maintain their, the dominant role in the future, we will encounter some challenges, mainly from United States and also from some European countries. First, step by steps to put forward the GGI. Firstly, GGI will accomplish, in the regional level, or some small multilateral platforms such as BRICS, such as the SCO, then expand it. So in the long run, I think I'm quite optimistic about that.
I expect it to evolve actually not in a hurried way, because in part the underlying philosophical foundations of the GGI is multilateralism. And multilateralism takes time and patience. As more countries have the confidence to express themselves, then I think we will see multilateralism take practical form. And of course there is the real results, economic results, infrastructure, education, literacy, health. GGI will have, I think, pathways for many countries to embrace. But the challenge will be how the legacy of unilateralism will continue to try to assert itself. So there is a contradiction that needs to be resolved. But I think it will be. You can't stop 190 countries choosing multilateralism.